なんとなくスーパーな私たちの日常
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Pull the Trigger on a Podcast, the podcast where it's embarrassing to be seen in public. Ugh, not good. I'm Fire.
I mean, we do have an anime podcast.
We do have an anime podcast. Ugh. Bad on us. I'm Fire Princess Lily, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Doc Sea Monster. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Just fine. I work with schools, so as of like today, it is spring break, so I have like 9 days off work.
Oh.
Okay, I only work during the week, but I have 9 days before I have to go back to work.
Right. I feel you.
Yeah.
So what have you been like up to though?
Let's see. Got my second COVID shot.
Nice.
And that was a few days ago. I've been watching Welcome to the Demon School Iruma-kun.
Oh.
That's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun show. Started watching season 2 of Slime.
Nice.
Also very good.
Yeah, I like it.
Pacing's a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because it was weird in the first season.
Yeah.
But this seems to be a bit better.
Yeah, I think they were finding their stride in the first season. I still feel like it's a little fast, but hey, you know, they got to get to where they got to get to.
Yeah. Let's see. That's about it.
All right.
Had a pretty slow week, really.
Hmm.
How about you?
Well, you know, been working. That's what I do. I go to sleep, I get up, spend a little time to myself, and then I go to work. That's what I do. That's my life. Oh shit. I didn't even think about that today. Aha! Doing podcasts instead of watching wrestling today. That's what I'm doing. Because I totally space it. It's alright. I will see the main event long before this ends. Or long after this ends. So, we're cool. Today, on wrestling, it's a big event. And I know what you're thinking. Oh boy, I can't wait to hear about it. It's not like I didn't kill you last time talking about wrestling. Murdered on podcasts, because that's basically what I'm doing. It's like I'm working, watching Slime season 2 because it's good, and watching anything I have to watch for podcasts, and then I'm watching wrestling. Like that's like my media consumption. I mean, I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077 because I enjoy the game. I think it's fun. Maybe it's not. I guess it's not for most people, but for me, I think it's pretty fun game. Obvious problems. It has problems. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I still have fun. Very hard to stream that because you have to be. I don't know how somebody who hasn't played it before streams it, because there are moments where sex stuff just it happens. Boom. And if you're not on it, there's going to be a bunch of nudity on your stream, and then you're in trouble with Twitch. You don't want to be in trouble with Twitch. So, I'm glad I'm very on top of it. And that's just because I played the game before. But wrestling's happening today. Today, Impact is having Sacrifice. It starts in 30 minutes. But it's okay. It's not a big deal. Because the only match that's really important to me is the main event. The main event will see Moose and Rich Swann wrestle to unite the TNA and Impact titles, and whoever wins that match, this is the big part, whoever wins that match, next month at Rebellion, they face Kenny Omega, who is the champion of AEW. They face Kenny Omega in a title versus title match, and whoever walks away from that is not only champion of Impact. No, they are champion of AEW as well. Double champ. It's happening. All our universes are coming together, and it's very cool. It's very cool. Very excited.
Cool.
Women are going to headline Dynamite this week, which is super cool. Like, this is the first time they've ever done that. Took them long enough, but it is happening. So it's going to be cool. It's going to be a no DQ match between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, which should be super insane. I hope it is. I hope it's very entertaining, and people realize that the women can do just as much as the men. I feel like this gone on. It's been. How do I want to? They've been on TV long enough. They've been on TV since 2019. They've been doing events since 2018, like at the end of 2018. And then it's just now that women are getting to headline something. Feels like it took too long. That's my opinion. So yeah, that'll be fun. And that's basically what's going on in wrestling right now. You know, this week's Dynamite was super duper like chaotic. The best part of it was the women's match because I don't know if I've told you who Maki Ito is.
I don't really know who she is.
Okay, so Maki Ito used to be an idol in Japan. She was a part of an idol group. I forget what the idol group name is. That's not important. At one point, some wrestling promotion decided to do something with her idol group. Like, they would be outside the ring, like I think like a lumberjack match sort of situation. A lumberjack match, it's a bunch of wrestlers who stand outside the ring, and if somebody gets like rolled out of the ring, or rolls out of the ring, they push them back in. Like, it's like you can't escape the ring because there are wrestlers ready to like put you back in the ring. So the idol group on the outside of the ring, and Maki Ito she was just headbutting people. That was like her attack for that whole thing. And it's a part of her character now because now, canonically, she has the world's hardest head. That's her thing. Her thing is also failed idol because she got fired for being unpopular, and so she went into wrestling, and everybody loves her in wrestling. She's so good. But she was a part of a six-way tag match this last week, and as she was the last person to come in for her team, and as she was coming in, everybody else, the other 5 competitors, started brawling. And part of Maki's entrance is that she sings her own like entrance, and she just kept singing even after they like cut the music for her entrance. She just kept going because it was like, no, it's my time to sing, and I'm gonna sing. And there's chaos happening all over. She's performing. Everybody's just having a good time in the audience. I'm so glad that she's been having matches in AEW, and I hope, you know, once the pandemic like chills out a bit, that she'll be able to come back more often. But
that sounds pretty great, honestly.
Right. I will send you like a video of just like that opening. Like, you don't have to watch the match, but I will send you a video of that opening later. But yeah. So that's it. Like, real quick on like the wrestling stuff today, just because we talked about just because that episode this week was just so chaotic, and the only big thing happening is happening later tonight, so I really can't talk about what's going to happen, you know? So, and that's my week. So we can get right into when the Supernaturals became commonplace, if you want. Unless you got something else to talk about.
Not really.
Okay. All right.
I think we can just jump right into the episode.
All right. It's not okay. This episode is very nothing, in my opinion. Like, they're setting up something, so it's a setup episode. But I feel like this is almost like a very this was We could have like,
It's got good character stuff,
yeah, it's got good character stuff, I guess. It's just
and I think that's kind of what the show is leaning on. Uh,
this
Character
character
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, here we go. We watched episode 3, Rendezvous Point. And like I said, I feel like this episode doesn't do much for me, but I understand it's like building characters and stuff. So, here we go. We are opening in the literature club, and Andou has been summoned by the rest of the club. They're like, you know why you're summoned here? And he's like, no, I'm sorry. That was my bad. We're starting in the teacher's lounge. It's like easy to get confused when there's all these books like everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's been summoned to the teacher's lounge. His teacher's like, do you know why you've been summoned? He's like, I don't.
We got some more language guys coming up here.
We do have more language guys coming up here, which are honestly my favorite part so far. But the teacher, who's wearing a mask that says "Sleep promotes healthy children," says it's because of your latest tests. He's like, "What's wrong with my test? What's the problem?" She's like, "Well, first of all, the question says Tom wakes up every morning. So why is your answer here? It's in English, like translating English to Japanese and whatever, because kanji is a actual class in Japan because it's so difficult. It's a difficult thing to write in and read. It takes a lot of work. There are people who live in Japan, who were born in Japan, who grew up in Japan, and they have difficult reading some of the kanji because it's just very complicated. Anyway, so the question was to like translate Tom wakes up every morning into kanji, and she's like, why did you use awaken here? You wrote awaken, but you even neatly added the reading wakes up above it. In what in the world is happening to Tom at 6 in the morning every day? And Andou says, who knows? You'd have to ask Tom. Which is pretty good. I like that. She's like, fine, moving on. The next question is, she continued crying in the dark room. And here's how Andou translated that. Is like, I was surprised that you could write a difficult kanji like lamenting. Like instead of crying, you wrote lamenting. As for dark, I don't even know that this kanji could be read as dark. This kanji is generally only written used as twilight. And Andou's like, you know. She's like, I'm not praising you. I could endlessly list other examples in your test. Why are you like this? Why do you deliberately use difficult kanji? And he's like, because it's kind of cool, isn't it? She's like, no, it's not. She's like, you know what's even worse? You know what sucks the most? You still earned a high score on this test, and I hate it. I hate you for this.
This teacher, this teacher's a piece of shit, and I hope she dies.
I mean, yeah.
I don't care how fucking tired she is. I'm tired. We're all tired. But her critiques are pretty infuriating, and like he didn't actually do anything wrong. He just did something weird, which is kind of the thing I hate about teachers.
Yeah, fair.
Like, or the kind of thing I hate about the school system. When you don't do something wrong, you just do something weird, and that's not good enough.
Yeah, I think her point is more, he doesn't have to be doing so much. But yeah, I get your point. I see where you're coming from. And definitely, like, he didn't do anything wrong. He's just doing, like, the way he likes to do it. And he's still scoring high, so she just leave him alone. I think it's also part of, like, everybody knows he's a Chuuni. And part of being a Chuuni is having to deal with other people who want to break you of that habit. Because it's not, like, something you should be walking into the real world with. It's fine when you're in school, but once you start getting out of school, it's very odd. So it's like a habit that needs to be broken. I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying here's where we're at. You know? Anyway, Andou doesn't look too fazed by this. The teacher does say something really shitty here. She's like, I want to mark all these answers you screwed around with as incorrect, but they aren't exactly wrong. And Ando's like, fine, okay. She's like, okay, well, forget it. I give up. In fact, I've had it. In fact, I'm leaving your correction in Takahanashi's hand, and I'm going to go to sleep. And she bends over in a way, and the camera is in such a way that, this isn't from what I can tell, this isn't a fan service show, but here's some fan service for you. Because we're looking at two students now, Andou and some other guy, through her cleavage as she's leaning back. Which...
Just a gratuitous tit shot.
It's just gratuitous. This guy says, Andou, he's like, oh, Sagami. He's like, do you have business with Satomi-sensei too? And Andou says, no, I'm finished with mine, so why are you here, Sagami? And Sagami says, I just came to get my lover back. Which is weird. Andou's like, your lover? He's like, Satomi-sensei, please hurry up and return my lover to me. She hands over a Game Boy 3DS.
It's a DS.
It's a 3DS. I can tell because of the dual camera in the back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because this came out in like 2014, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So that'd be 3DS.
Absolutely, yeah. I was going to call it a DS Lite, but then I saw the two cameras in the back. And that's for 3D picture taking. Which the DS can do. She hands it to him using her foot, which is, I actually think that's great. I aspire to be this level of lazy. She's like, fine, here you go. Don't play games in class anymore, and I won't have to take it from you. And he's like, I wasn't playing a game. He's like, I was nurturing my love. And so she says, you two are both just such pains. Because she's having to deal with both of these knuckleheads. Andou says, hey, speaking of lovers, I heard you started dating a first year a while back. What's up with that? Only for Sagami to say, oh, we already broke up. He's like, what, already? He's like, yeah, she dumped me just like all the others. It's cruel, right? She was the one who confessed to me. And Andou says, you brought another fucking anime figure while you were walking her home with her, didn't you? You brought out another one of those PVC statues, didn't you? And this guy's like, wrong. This time I brought, Galgi. I think that's how that's pronounced. Oh, it's just another fancy way to say PVC statue.
Yeah.
Because Andou's like, yeah, that's the same thing, you fucking idiot. The teacher says, wow, you guys get along pretty fucking well. And they're like, no, we fucking do not. Do not let me in with this fucking Chuuni. And Andou's like, do not load me in with this guy who would fucking pick which anime to watch based on its voice actress. That's fucking dumb. And they're just fighting back and forth about being associated with one another. And the teacher is just like, I don't care. She just has this face of why did I get myself into this? She does say, I don't understand what you two are saying. I do not care. You both like anime, right? They're like, no. But they do. She's like, I don't care. Get out of my office. Go home.
Yeah.
We later cut over to Andou and Sagami sitting on the stairs together for two people who don't want to be associated with each other. But Sagami says, Andou, don't you have club right now? He's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, cool, I need to get going too. A girl from class 3 called me behind the gym. And Andou's just like, what the fuck? I don't even want to comment on that. Andou gets picked up by... I'm going to remember these characters' names one of these days. It's not happening right now. But it will happen. She's a main character. Why can't I remember her name?
See, I can remember all the others' names. Because there's Tomoyo, Haruko, and Chifuyu.
Yeah, this is Tomoyo. I should remember Tomoyo because I really liked Tomoyo in Cardcaptor Sakura. This should be easy for me. Pretty sure this... No. Oh, you're right. It's not. He gets picked up by Sayumi-san.
Sayumi, right.
Sayumi-san. I thought it was Tomoyo, but... See, I watched this last week, and then we didn't record. I think I said we weren't recording, so that's on me.
Yeah, but I rewatched it. I rewatched it about an hour ago.
Oh, I did not.
I didn't help me remember the name, but I mean, I refreshed myself.
Yeah. But Ando's like, "What are you doing, just standing there?" And she's like, "Nothing much. I wasn't observing your interaction with Sayumi-kun or anything. To use as fantasy fodder." He's like, "Why would you not talk like that?" She's like, "No, let's go to the club room now."
Fujoshi jokes.
Fujoshi jokes.
Fu jokes.
Fu jokes. Sayumi says everybody should be there now. And he's like, "Oh yeah, that reminds me. Today's she's like, "That's right. Today's the Literature Club's Recreation Day." We cut over to a giant tennis stadium, and now everybody's playing tennis. Andou and Tomoyo are paired up with one another, and Andou looks like he's about to score a point on Tomoyo, but she perfectly uses her ability to stop time so she can get over to where the ball's going to be. She hits it, and it hits the net. Which, very, very bad for her. Hits the net, bounces right back in her face, and Andou's like, "Tomoyo, don't hit the net in situations like that. It makes your use of your power look fucking lame. What's the point of stopping time to catch it if you're not going to throw it back right?" Tomoyo's like, "Hey, I can't help it. Tennis is harder than it looks, okay?" And he's like, "Also, this ends it? Are you serious?" She's like, "What does it matter that I said that? I just felt like saying it, okay?" Andou's calling her out, basically.
Yeah.
But they both agree that they're not ready to play on a competitive level for hardball tennis. They need to be just as talented, at least as talented as they are. And we all look over at Sayumi and Hadako. Thank you. Hadako, who are just like having a battle back and forth. They're, it's not serious yet, but they are serving back and forth very competently. And Tomoyo's like, "I never thought that Hadako would actually be this good. Like, she's pretty good." And Andou says, "Yeah, that's because she played soft tennis in middle school." What's the difference between hard tennis and soft tennis?
I don't know. It's probably like junior tennis or something.
Something. I don't know. If you're listening, let us know.
Yes.
And Tomoyo's like, "Man, Hadako's..."
Uses soft rubber balls as opposed to hard yellow balls, and it is popular in Asia.
Gotcha. Cool. Hadako's more athletic than she looks, says Tomoyo. And Andou agrees. This is like, here, we're going to get to like a little bit of a creepy territory, because Hadako has like special bloomers where she can like pack away tennis balls. And Andou is like looking at them real fucking hard. And pausing. So, Tomoyo's like, "Hey, where the fuck are you looking?" Because we're back in Andou's being a creep. He's like, "What? No, I wasn't looking. I wasn't thinking about how awesome it was that I could almost see but couldn't." I hate this. Tomoyo covers up herself. She's like, "You're a pervert." And he's like, but besides, it's the kind of underwear that's okay to see, right? Because they're not like panties or anything. She's like, "True, she's wearing an underskirt, but, that's like creepy. Nobody likes to be fucking leered at, dude." Andou says the female heart's complicated, but it's not complicated. That's not complication. Nobody wants to be perved at. I hate this. Deep down in my heart, I hate this. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, anyway, it's all thanks to Chifu that are able to enjoy this. We're able to do like this tennis stuff." We cut over to Chifuyu, who is like just lying down under an umbrella on a relaxing chair, eye mask. She's like taking a nap. What's really fun though is that if you look over next to her, there's the tennis racket from Kill la Kill, from the 2-star captain. That's really good. Um, but apparently Fu made the court, the equipment, the stadium, everything. Tsuyumi walks over and says, "Hey, I think it's about time we switch partners, isn't it?" So Tsuyumi pairs off with Tomoyo, and we only know that because we cut over to Andou, who's facing Hadako. She's like, "All right, I'm ready to serve. Are you ready?" He's like, "Yeah. Show me your most terrifying nightmare." and no overhand serves, please. They're too fast for me to return. She's like, "Okay." She immediately she hits her with a side serve and says, "Fireball!" And as it comes towards him, it bounces on the court once and then catches fire at him. He's like, "Oh, no!" He has to dodge. And she's like, "Hey, that's no good. You have to return it." He's like, "Who could return that?" She's like, oh, right, fire." She's like, "I thought since you use fire, you'd be able to return a flaming ball." And he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. He's like, "All right, then let's find out once and for all who is the best flame user." He pulls out Dark and Dark and says, "I am the Chaos Controller. My Purgatory Hellfire dances in the abyss." Because, of course, he does. As he's saying this, he's saying like more stuff, but she says, "Junkun, I'm sorry, I hit it already," and that's when he gets hit in the head with a flaming tennis ball. It's like right on top of his head, like a perfect shot, and he starts screaming. We cut to back to the tennis club. I'm sorry, the literature club room, and Andou is like, "Oh man, I thought I was gonna die," and everyone's like, "No, you nearly did die." Tsuyumi's like, "I had to perform another worthless restoration. Could you not?" Andou says, "Hey, you know what? But thanks to wandering between life and death, I've come up with a new nickname." Shifuyu says Andou fell and he won't get up. It's like, that would mean I was still down. Oh, just forget it. He pulls out his Chuuni book, his Chuuni notebook, and Tomoyo says, "There it is, the notebook of his dark history." He's like, "It's not a dark history, it's my bloody Bible." They're like, "Okay, hey, Andou?" Yeah, he's like, "Why does it say Verve right here?" He's like, "What?" He's like, "You misspelled Bible." He's like, "No, I didn't." He's like, "Yeah, Bible spelled Bible, Bible. But here you spell Vrvre, Virv. And Andou's like, "What? No. So Yumi-san, you told me this is how you spell. This is how you taught me to spell Bible. Is it not viable?" And Tsuyumi is like cracking the fuck up because she knows it's not. She's like, "Nope." She's like, "Oh, I made a mistake. I taught you how to spell it wrong by accident." And he's just like, "Oh no." And so she's like, "Andou, that word spells Verve, bloody Verve."
Yeah.
She's like, "Why is Aeon Group's fashion store covered in blood?" Which was not. I think I don't get that joke. It's obviously a clothing thing. But
in the dub, they have it as verve is in the French word to live.
Oh.
And the joke is this. So together it means like people are living a life covered in blood.
Ah. Hadako goes on to say, "You bought that notebook at the Verve stationery store near the station? So it must be fate." So apparently it's like a stationery store. Okay. I had to wait 1 second to figure this out. I'm an idiot. Sayumi's still cracking the fuck up. This is the best. I like Sayumi. She's my favorite. They're all walking home now, and Tomoyo says, "I feel like going to karaoke today. Anybody want to do karaoke?" Sayumi's like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." And Andou says, "Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm ready to go." Only for Sayumi to say, "Well, if Andou's going, I'm gonna fucking pass." Tomoyo's like, "Yeah, I don't want to go anymore either." He's like, "What? Why?" They're like, "Because it's you, man." It's like, "What did I do? I didn't do anything, did I?" They're all walking away, and then we cut to a man in a black trench coat. He's got white hair, and he's looking at the school. Bum, bum, bum. When we come back from commercial break, Andou and everybody are on top of a bridge, and Andou's like, "Oh no, it's gone. This is bad. My bloody Bible's gone." They're like, "Your bloody verb's missing?" He's like, "It's not a verb." And he's like, "I just wanted to record a new nickname. I just thought it up before I forgot." And Tomoyo says, "How many nicknames do you need to come up with in a day? Honestly." And it's like, anyway, it's not here. I'm going to go look for it. So you guys go home without me. And he runs away. They're like, "Oh my God, I guess we're going home then." And so they do. They walk home. And they're talking about Andou without him being there. Hatoko says, "Jun-kun's really scatterbrained." And Tomoyo says he doesn't even need to panic. I'm sure he'll come up with lots more nicknames. And we get an interesting story that apparently Hatoko has known Andou for a long time, basically. Because she's like, "Nicknames, huh?" She's like, I was just recalling something from my past, because Tomoyo's like, "What's going on?" She's like, "When I was in elementary school, I was also called Yakitori-chan." They're like, "Huh?" Because since my last name is Kushikawa, it came from Kushi meaning skewer and Kawa meaning skin. So, Yakitori-chan. And she's like, "I don't mind it anymore, but at the time, I really hated being called that. I did not like it." But then Jun-kun said, "I will not stand for such a lame nickname." And named her a different nickname, which was, if she recalls, it was Fire Phoenix, which, okay. She's like, and then everybody says, "What? If we have to call her something dorky like that, we're just going to call her Hatoko-chan." And then from then on, nobody ever called her Yakitori-chan ever again. And everybody's like, "Hatoko, you don't think that Andou did that on purpose, do you? To stop them from, teasing you?" And she's like, no, he did not." They're like, "Yeah, that's true." She's like, when all the kids said his nickname was Dorky, Jun-kun said, was very sad. And I'm sure he just was doing what he wanted to do anyway. But in the end, I do think he saved me. So, that was good of him. So he's like, "Yeah, it's true that Andou is a hopeless idiot, but he's surprisingly reliable. For example, my power, Route of Origin. The power to restore anything to its original state. The moment I received this power, the question popped in my head immediately. The question is whether I could bring somebody back from the dead. However, Andou saved me from that. He took me aside and said, whatever you do, you must never, no matter what, please do not try to bring back a dead person back to life. No animals either. Whether you can do it or not doesn't matter. Just please don't even consider it." And she's like, "And now I understand him better. The power to revive the dead is not a power that should exist in our world. So if I were to try it and succeed, I'm not sure I can maintain my mental stability." Chifuyu says, "Yeah, Andou told me something too. He said that I shouldn't try to create life. That I should just, do inanimate stuff." And everybody's like, "Wow, he really gave a lot of thought into each of our powers, hasn't he?" They're all very impressed with him, even though he's an idiot.
I really like this whole section about how he has some depth to his character.
Yeah, it's good.
How he's a bit more deep thinking and considerate than his dork persona seems on the surface.
Yeah, absolutely.
He cares about people. He worries about dangerous stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely better than where we were towards the start of this episode, for sure.
Yeah.
Sammy says, "Yeah, he's thought more about our powers than we have. He's considered them. He's analyzed them, sometimes imagining their scope, sometimes imagining what they're like, and has given us wonderful names for them. Even if they're lame Chuuni names, but he's good. He did good." We cut to a scene, like from I guess when all this started after Ando's giving them their names, and he's like, "Now your powers are partially mine. I've bound them with names." And Tomoyo is thinking just to herself. She's not saying out loud that Ando is trying to bear half of their burden for them. But that's probably not true at all. She says, "You're overthinking this. He definitely isn't thinking that deeply about it." I'm like, you're probably right. Ando only ever thinks about his Chuuni character setting, so it is what it is. Shifu says Ando's a super Chuuni. And they're like, yep, that's right. He's a Chuuni. We cut over to Ando who sneezes because, you know, it's a classic trope that when people are talking about you, you sneeze. And so he's running through the school. He's like, I can't waste time. I gotta go get my journal. As he opens the literature club, there's the same man that we saw standing in front of the school, and he's reading through his bloody verve. And he rushes, he's like, oh no! But this man says, hey, could this be yours? He's like, oh, yeah, it is. This is my notebook. Could I have it back, please? And he's like, yeah, sure. This is your name, right? Guiltia Sinjurai, which is not his name. He's like, yeah, that's my name. It's a Chuuni name.
It's very Chuuni.
It's very Chuuni. This man tells Ando, you've got a really good naming sense. And Ando's like, what? He's like, Guiltia recalls guilty. And sin, which also brings to mind of crime, it's a double meaning. It makes, it's very deep. Sin can also mean wrong in God's eye, and that carries weight more than wrongs one can, do right by. So Guiltia also gestures to Arcadia and Utopia. It's a lot. And suggests a sinful paradise. And finally, a cursed thunder. It gives me goosebumps, says the man. It's like, this guy's weird. Welcome to our second Chuuni. I don't know how much he's going to appear in the show, but he is just as bad as Ando, if
I actually
not
have
worse.
I actually have some thoughts about that, which I'll get into later.
Okay. He's like, however, this is coincidence because I happen to have something similar. And he pulls out his own notebook. He's like, I call it the Reverse Crux Record. It's like, what? Reverse Crux? We're getting like a lot of like different kanji here. It's like a manifest renounced by God. It's like an upside down cross on the cover. The cross of the fallen is symbol of rebellion against God. Who in the world are you? He's like, my name is Kiru Heldkaiser Lucy First. And Ando's like, he's like, or you could call me, by the name I go by, which is Kiryu Hajime. We cut over to a cafe where they're like sharing a meal together because they're bonding. And Ando's just going, wow, this is great. Heldkaiser is a play on hell and Kaiser, recalling the Emperor of Hell, which is further emphasized by Lucy First, signifying Lucifer, the falling angel. Every part of this is a name that symbolizes a rebellion against God. This is wonderful. And he's like, yep, you're right. I'm great. Huh?
Okay, I want to say something real quick.
Sure.
So Kiryu means silver dragon. If your name is Kiryu, how fancier of a name do you need?
Right? Right.
And then again, we're American weebs, so
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Kiryu says, I only came to the literature club to like play around, and now I found a man of outstanding talent. Isn't that right? Guilty as Sinjurai. Ando says, I sense our encounter was destined. They're just trading Chuuni shit back and forth right now.
yeah.
And he's like, wait a minute, the literature club? Why are you visiting our literature club? He's like, oh, I'm an alumni. Like, oh, really? Huh, this really does feel like destiny then. Kiryu gets a phone call. We see that his eyes are heterochromatic, Whether that's because of context or an actual thing, I do not know at this point.
He's got one red eye and one purple eye.
Yeah,
Like a bluish purple.
like a bluish purple. He gets a phone call. He's like, "Oh, sorry, phone call." He's like, "Hey, what's going on? It's me." And he's like, "Uh huh. Hey, it's the job of you guys at the War Management Committee to like figure all that out. Don't push your failures off on me. You're obsessively calling truths with those who are trying to break the war system itself, while serially crushing them with all your might, huh? That's fucking underhanded. It disgusts me. I'm not about it, but fine, I'll do it for you. I was planning on taking them out sooner or later anyway." Whatever he's talking about, we do not get the other side of this conversation, so it just sounds insane. He says he's going to teach them who the real Emperor of War is. And then he hangs up the call. Ando's like, what the fuck is going on? He says some more stuff. I don't even want to repeat it. Stuff about power of God, heavenly hell, blah, 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 blah. He hangs up the phone. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. That was my boss at work. What is your job? What's your job, man? Ando's like, oh, we're just going to leave it at that. I don't even know what's going on. And Kira's like, what are we talking about? He's like, all right. Chuuni names. And Ando's like, right. He's like, what's wrong? Why are you being weird right now? You're suddenly looking down. And Ando's like, well, Kira-san, do you really think that someone like me is really a Chuuni? He's like, huh. Kira says, hey, Ando, what is a Chuuni to you? And Ando's like, well, I see it as not lying to myself, like that. Kira's like, that's a good answer. It's abstract, but sure. He goes on to say that Chuunis come in varieties, but they all share a core. It starts with self-denial, creating a different self in a fictional setting, because you can't accept yourself in the world you live in. However, those emotions are also a fierce craving for self-affirmation. You wish for someone to accept you just as strongly as you wish to be someone else. This is an unresolved paradox of the self-denial and self-affirmation that is the root of Chuuni bios. Which Ando says an unresolved paradox. Endless paradox. Wait, that's... before he can say anything, we hear a familiar voice go, huh? Is that you, Ando? It's Tomoyo. And he's like, oh, Tomoyo, what are you doing here? She's like, I just came here to study. I often just use this family restaurant to just do some studying. More importantly, Ando, why are you here? Did you find your verb? He's like, don't call it a verb. But anyway, yeah, this kind older man picked it up for me. Tomoyo turns around. I don't know how she missed this man to begin with, because he's a whole, how do you, anyway.
He's got like the silver hair and the glasses and the cigarette and the black cloak. He is like all fucking done up.
He's hard to miss. But she turns to see him and her eyes go like wide, and he's like, it's been a long time, endless paradox. And he's like, Ando's like, what? As Tomoyo says, Hajime Nissan. He's like, what? Nissan? He's like, it's not Hajime Nissan. It's Kiryu, Heldkaiser, Lucy Fist. She's like, you came back here? He's like, yeah, I did. She's like, you could have at least called me. He's like, yeah, I guess I could have. She's like, I see that you haven't changed. Oh, why don't you just come home, guy? Why don't you just come home? And he's like, no, I refuse. But she's like, everybody's worried about you. Dad isn't even mad anymore. You can just come home. He's like, no, I refuse. When you go home, tell our father, send living expenses for this month too. And she's like, that is not something you can say while trying to sound cool. He turns to Ando's like, I guess we've been interrupted. Our phantasmal conversation here ends here, Guiltia. After we finally renewed the ties of our past lives too. What a shame. He walks away after tapping Tomoyo on the shoulder. And he says, oh, that's right, Ando. I nearly forgot to mention. Both madness and a weapon, a calamitous disaster, the power of destruction to even topple heaven, Lucifer's strike. The kanji that we're looking at here says, fallen angel's hammer drops on fools. He's like, that is my other alias, and the name of the power that I can overturn this world. Dark and dark. One day, the wheels of fate will lead you and me to meet again. And then he's like, I look forward to that moment. And then he walks out of the restaurant. And Ando's like, huh, so that guy is your older brother, huh? And she's like, yeah, it's embarrassing, but yes. And Ando's like, I see. So endless paradox came from Kiryu-san's naming sense, huh? She's like, oh yeah, that's totally true. That's where it came from. Absolutely. She's like, I remembered how Hajime Nissan gave me that nickname, so yeah, totally. You know, don't you? Ando says, wait a minute. Kazaki and Kiryu, they're like, yeah, we're siblings by different mothers. Same father, but our mothers are different. So that's just how it is. Kiryu is the name of Hajime Nissan's mother's family. He's lived with us ever since he was little, but he's always gone by his mother's last name. And Ando's like, huh, that sounds complicated. I don't want to talk about that. She says, do you want to know? Do you want to share? Oh, no, he says, do you want to share anything like about that? And she's like, no, I don't. He's like, okay, then it's fine. We don't have to talk about it. She says that Hajime Nissan was always an incredible person. Keen intellect, handsome, good in both literary and physical realms. He was always first or second on the high school national exams. During high school, he was in the literature club. But during middle school, he went to nationals for track. And I was like, whoa, that's incredible. They're like, yeah, but about a year ago, he said, this world is wrong. And then he quit college and left home. And Ando says, that's incredible. Tomoyo says, hey, Ando, that reminds me. Hajime Nissan called you Dark and Dark? What's up with that? He's like, oh, yeah. She's like, you didn't tell him about our powers, right? You didn't say that? He's like, no, I haven't. Don't sell me short. I would never do that. She's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, but he was reading the book.
He was reading the book, so he probably knows. He probably knows.
He probably figured out a whole lot of stuff.
Okay, here's my thing. Remember how we saw a weird dude sitting in a tree, like, last episode?
He was standing upside down in the tree at the end of the first episode.
Yeah.
That was totally Hajime.
Yeah, so obviously he knows what's going on.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like, Kiryu seems fun, and he's definitely trying to play the villain, which I find hilarious. I'm definitely kind of getting antagonist vibes from him, but I don't know if that's the show or if that's just his shtick.
Yeah, right.
Either way, he's definitely way deeper into his own bullshit than Andou is.
Oh, for sure. Andou says, still, he really is incredible. He just casually left me with the entire bill. Tomoyo's like, oh no, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And
$40.
$40, whole $40. The end of the episode, we cut to Chifu, coming into an empty home. It's all dark. She's like, I'm home. And that's how the episode ends. No, I'm sorry. That is not how the episode ends. The episode ends with Andou coming to school, and Chifuyu is standing in front of the high school. He's like, hey, good morning, Chifuyu. And she's like, oh, good morning, Andou. She's like, what are you doing here? Are you waiting for Satomi-sensei? She's like, no. She's like, okay, well, will you be okay at school? Won't you be late if you don't leave soon? She's like, I won't be late. I don't need to go to elementary school anymore. She's like, I quit school. And I was like, what? But that's how that episode ends. There we go. Boom. Done. We did it. Got to the end.
So, we get some more insight into Andou. We kind of get an introduction to Kiryu. I really like the very deliberate contrast the show is setting up between Andou and Kiryu. Like, they're both Chuunis, but underneath the surface, Andou is very kind and thoughtful. But Kiryu pretty much just pulls dick moves over the course of this episode.
Yes.
It's just all dick moves. Like, and we also get some more insight to Tomoyo.
Yeah.
Like she makes a big deal about not wanting to put up with Andou's Chuuni shit. But it's probably more along the lines of Like she cares about him as a person and doesn't want him to end up like her incredibly shitty brother.
I don't think that's it.
I think that's it.
I
Like
think Tomoyo used to be a Chuuni and has
oh yeah, she definitely used to be
recently
shitty.
got over it, and she's just very embarrassed to be around somebody who's super fucking Chuuni like Andou. It's secondhand embarrassment remembering her own shit.
I definitely think part of it is not wanting him to be like her shitty brother.
I mean, maybe part of it, yeah. But I think mostly it's like, oh man, that used to be me.
Like that's definitely a part of it.
Yeah.
Because she still does shooting stuff occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally. All right. This week we did not get any questions, but we got some comments, we got some answers. That's for the listener question that I ask every episode now. Like I ask a different one every week. So if you're listening, you can check us out on Twitter, and every week I'm going to ask something, and you can answer it. It's gonna be cool. Audience participation. So I said, ask us about siblings, being disgraced, embarrassing moments, studio trigger, and anything else. Nobody did. That's fine. Whatever. We're moving on. Our listener question, which people responded to, is if you had a superpower, what would it be, and what dramatic name would you give it? We have two answers. Thus, from @JusticeRay, we have, I'd want teleportation to anyone or anything, but never when they can see me. I always come out of the corner of their eye, so I'd call it always out of sight, which that's a lot. But okay. By Charlotte Finn, transformation, both for myself and the benefit of others. I'd call it the affirmative metamorph technique. These are both great dramatic names. How about you? What do you got?
Let's see. We got a few from Discord.
Oh, did we get a few from Discord?
Yes.
Whoa.
Darchus, who's also on Twitter, he says he'd like a power for detecting all secrets and call it, oh, that wasn't obvious.
That's actually pretty good. Nice.
And Requiem Jir, also on Discord, his superpower would be mind control.
Yikes.
He would use it. Well, he would use it for depression therapy, and he would call it "fucking do it." He would use it to encourage people to do things.
I don't trust anybody who goes with mind control.
I don't either. Like I used to think mind control was a cool power, then I watched Jessica Jones.
Right.
It's like, oh, this is actually horrifying.
This is actually bad.
This is completely horrifying. Let's see.
Anything else?
How about you? What would your superpower be?
I asked you first.
Okay. Ocean Dark Infinity.
Okay. Some kind of water bending power there.
Yes, controlling the ocean and bodies of water.
Nice. My superpower would be the ability to not manifest. No, not manifest. Summon. Okay, summon. I think summon works better. Basically, create from my mind any piece of technology that I could think of, whether it exists or not. And I would call it the super requip.
Nice.
Yeah.
If I could have any power, I'd probably just want like general telekinesis, though. I don't know what I'd call. I can't think of a good name for it, though.
Fair enough.
I'd love like really strong telekinesis.
Yeah, that's fun. Throwing shit around.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the. We didn't get any questions. Which is fine. I couldn't think of like good questions that you could ask us this week because, like I said, while we did get some good character stuff, I felt like this was mostly a do nothing episode. Like if there were filler in in a short anime, this episode would be it. Even for slice of life, I just felt nothing for this.
I think the most important thing is introducing Kiryu.
Yeah, absolutely. We're about to get a bunch of dog barking.
Okay. Let's see what else.
That's it. That's it for me, honestly.
Yeah,
Kiryu's neat. Reminds me of the Yakuza games because every Yakuza game except for the newest one is about Kiryu. So
I'm trying to get my partner to watch the show because their favorite character archetype is silver-haired jerks.
it's a good
Really,
type.
like silver-haired jerks, absolute favorite.
Nice.
I think she'd get a really big kick out of Kiryu.
Oh, something's happening on Twitter in the wrestling world, like right
Oh,
now.
yeah?
Yeah,
What?
it involves Jim Cornette, that piece of shit.
That
But
piece of shit.
it involves
Jim
Miro.
Cornette friend of the show?
No, nuh-uh. Never. Not even a good joke. Hate that man. I hate that man. Like deep in my heart. It's a deep hatred in my heart. If I ever see Jim Cornette on the street, it is on sight. Like, boom. Apparently, Jim Cornette, who has me blocked on Twitter for telling him to focus on his own life, where he basically forced wrestlers to sleep with his wife for contracts instead of like going after other people. Maybe he should look into his own shit. But what a shitty motherfucker. Apparently he was talking shit about Penelope Ford and calling her a slut, which led Miro. Miro's like a big dude who was just like a friend of Penelope because Penelope's married to Kip Sapien, who was also Miro's friend. But Miro's like a big, like fucking like monster of a man from Bulgaria. I would not want to find myself in a dark alleyway with an upset Miro. Ever. Please, no. Anybody who's listening who watches wrestling but maybe not AEW, Miro also used to be known as Rusev, but Miro's apparently like calling him the fuck out. He's like, hey, if you ever call Penelope a slut again, I will come down like God's wrath on you. Do you understand? I will personally drive to your basement where you are, and it is on. So I love to see it. Go ahead, Cornette. Call his bluff. Please do. I really hope something happens. Miro used to drive out to the ring on a tank. Like, he was a cool dude. He's still a cool dude. He just doesn't do the tank thing anymore.
Sure.
Sorry. That was so big to me personally that I just had to talk about it for a second. But you were saying something, and I interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
No, I don't. I do not.
Okay. So, you're trying to get your partner to watch the show. Is what you were saying.
Yeah, I think she'd really get a kick out of Kiryu.
Yeah.
Because what silver-haired assholes are her favorite kind of character.
It's a good archetype. It's a real good
Yeah.
archetype. All right then. So, where can people find you online if they want to like talk to you about stuff?
I am on Twitter way too much. I'm at Dr. C Monster. That is at DRC Monster. Come and find me on Twitter, where you can see me tweet at Gail Simone about how much I like my hometown.
Nice. I've only been through Houston, driving through it. Always.
It's got nice stuff. It's got great museums, great restaurants. People are pretty decent.
See, I always thought that.
Malls.
I always felt like Houston must be evil because every time I would check the Wii Weather channel for the weather in Houston, it would just list it as like under a haze, not a fog, a haze, and only evil places are in hazes. But you know, that's just me being silly.
How about you?
Oh, you can find me as always on Twitter at DatFirePrince, spelled DAT. You can find me on my numerous podcasts I do, including the Super Sentai Super Show, where me and Justice Ray, who answered our question this week, go over every episode of Super Sentai by season in random order. Currently we're working on Gal Ranger, and I understand why people told me that Gal Ranger is kind of boring paint by numbers, because it is really paint by numbers as the season goes. But we're getting through it. You can also find me on Pining for the Falls, where me and Doc Sea Monster do this, but for Gravity Falls, and I think we're coming up on the end of that.
Yeah, we've got, what, 6 episodes left? 7?
Yeah, we got like 6 or 7 episodes left. Because we are just going to put Weird Mageddon into one big episode.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't you?
Isn't that going to be that's going to be like a 3-hour episode, though?
It's going to be a bit... Well, I guess maybe we can break it down into 2 episodes, because it's like 4 different episodes, isn't it?
It's 3 episodes.
3 episodes. We'll get there when we get there. We'll just do when we get there. Yeah, but that's it. That's it for me. That's where you can find me. So I guess until next time.
I'm gripped by a terrible bloodlust. It's going to take all my determination to quell the horrific, corrupting hunger taking hold of me. Stop the recording. I can't have any distractions, or you'll all be in grave danger.
All right, then. Bye.
Bye.